Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do another urban scene. It's quite straightforward. It's actually a picture that I got online, and I just like the way the buildings show through the trees in the foreground. So I just wanted to show you how the process of doing this painting. Like I said, it's quite straightforward, quite simple. There's nothing too complicated with this one. There is a little bit of perspective that comes into play, so you've got to keep that in mind. Obviously looking at vanishing points, and I know I haven't got this 100% accurate, but I think on the whole it does work. You can see where I've put the pencil lines just as a guide, so I know where I'm going with the paint. And I've got the building in a blue sort of colour, and then the front buildings I just wanted to cover in a almost pink sort of colour. So this, I had a little bit of white gouache in my palette, and I mixed a bit of red into that, which gave me this nice pink. But it's not exactly like the reference, so I wanted to do my own sort of spin on the reference. And so just going in with the first wash, covering the paper and getting those first washes in. Today's paper I'm using Bockingford cold press, and this is £140. I'm going to be using wet and wet for the trees, and you can see how the benefit of this is. So I'm just using sap green, yellow ochre, and just dropping different colours into that mix. I'm using both palettes again. I just find this quite easy to use. I've got both palettes open, my White Knights and my Winsor & Newton. I'm just mopping the bottom of the paper where the paint's running over the tape, so I don't want any backgrounds or anything like that. And then just a bit of a distance, trees in the distance just disappearing, and I'm going to be blotting those out just to push them back into the distance so they don't have too much focal point. There's not too much focus on those, so I'm just pushing those back. Hopefully you can see what attracted me to this scene. I just love the way the trees almost take over the scene, and it's a mix of sort of nature and sort of man-made. I like that sort of thing in a painting. I do like landscapes, and I do like urban sort of sketching and buildings, townscapes, that sort of thing. So the beauty of this sort of scene, I've got best of both worlds. So let me know in the comments what you think. There is actually a sale, I believe, in Jackson's on the Schminke Horadam paints. So I'm hoping that sale's still on. I do get paid every week now, so I've changed my job. I work nights, and so I'm hoping to get myself some Schminke Horadam paints. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you've tried the Schminke brand, what paints would you recommend? It's certainly easier now I'm working full-time. I can afford to try different paints, different papers. In any suggestions on materials like papers and brushes, please do let me know in the comments. So one of the things that I really like to do when I'm painting trees, one of the things I do find works quite well, gives a nice look to the trees, makes them a bit more organic. I like to use 3 colours. So first of all, I get my light colour, my lightest light, sort of a highlight colour, pop that in the tree, usually a yellow sort of colour, whether that's yellow ochre or cad yellow or any of the lighter colours that it would work with any sort of yellow. and then I add some green to that and sort of get a darker mix, a darker green within that. So I add that, and then the final sort of tone that I stick to about 3 tones. You don't really that's quite effective. You can make quite realistic trees or get some nice dimension on the trees, make them 3D and pop, just with 3 colours alone. So my last colour, I'd add in some French ultramarine or any sort of dark blue. You can use either a neutral tint, which I do like to use, or you could even use a black just to darken the green. Just add in more green as you're mixing, and that does keep it as a green shade, a green in colour. So that's what I really find works well, and I do like to use my rigger brush, my liner brush, when it comes to branches and twigs and all those sort of things. You can't paint, you can't be too strict with it. With a liner brush, it's sort of the brush, because it's a long haired brush, the brush sort of goes everywhere, which, every bends in every place, so it gives that broken and it goes all over like a branch would. So I do find that works as well. It gives more of an organic looking tree. You don't want it perfectly straight and controlled, so it's best to let go and be loose with that. And you can see I'm just adding some pen work just to strengthen the painting. It's quite one of the quite a pale painting, quite soft and almost pastel looking. So I just wanted to add pen just to strengthen, add some lines and strengthen the windows in places. And you can see I did forget to press record when it came to adding the darker tones on the road. But I did my first wash, which was quite light, and I wanted that to be where the light's coming through the trees. So you got these pockets of light coming through the foliage. So that's my first wash, and then I just added a darker blue with bits of red in it. So it's almost a purpley colour for the road, which I find works quite well. And then just touching up here and there. I think I need just a few more lines just to help with perspective as well. So I've popped these lines in just for the path and shadows, and then just a few lines at the bottom of the buildings just to help, just to indicate where the building stops and the path starts. So I want to separate those. And I think this scene could have used maybe a few cars, a few people perhaps, but I just wanted to go ahead and paint as simple as I can and just show you almost like a building block, a foundation to paint an urban scene. So if you struggle painting buildings, then you could always paint part of a building and then have a big tree sort of covering maybe where you struggle, or hide mistakes or things like that. That's quite a good thing to do. Just in this painting, there's 2 big trees that take over the scene almost, so I just like that look. So I'm not going too mad on detail. I want it still quite loose, almost an illustration. And it does remind me of like a children's storybook illustration, especially when you add the ink. It just gives that almost cartoon-like quality to the painting. But I do like that there's always a place for that in watercolour. Watercolour and pen and ink, it just goes so well. So if you've not tried that, then maybe that's something you can try. I do use a number of different brands of pen. I've got some uni pens, Micron, and I've even got sepia pens. So if you want to do some drawing with ink and you want a different colour than black, maybe that's something you could try out as well. Just go for a different colour. I do have a dipping pen and some wells of ink, some little jars, Winsor & Newton, and I've got some Jackson's ink as well, which they're really good to use because they're permanent. So dry, and you know they're fixed to the you can go over them with watercolor, so they're perfect to use in things like this. But I don't tend to use them that much. I do find there's a lot less control. I do use a bamboo brush, which I got just for ink, and there's an end on it, a nib, which is like the bit of the wood as well. So you got both ends to paint with. So I'm just using my regular brushes. These are squirrel mop brushes, and a small round. They do have nice points to them, so I just want to go over and add colour using these brushes. But yeah, I'm just adding now the just a few lines, and these are lines that are on the road, and just using that white gouache again. I'm just using it straight from the tube, just dipping my liner brush into the tube with a little bit of water just so that it's not too dry, and just getting my lines again, not going perfectly, just indicating some lines, and that's perfectly fine. That works. So it's nice. It does show up more when you've got darker tones underneath, when you go over darks. But it does add something to the scene. It does give a nice perspective, and it just adds a bit of realism to the road. But like I said, it would have looked nice with some cars and people. But I just wanted to keep this nice and short and simple. You can see the stage where I'm taking off the masking tape. It just gives a nice, clean, crisp border, and it just gives you an indication of what this painting, what your painting might look like framed, if you do want to frame your work. It just gives you an idea of what that may look like. So there we go. Let's have a closer look at this painting. I don't know whether I'm happy with the tree in the middle. Maybe I should have done a few more leading off, but that's what I did at the time. It's only looking at it now that I think maybe I could have done something more with that. But there you go. It's a nice, simple urban scene. I hope you like this one, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.